I have been selling this book, Zan Azli and Wan Chun Hong's Guide to Indie Filmmaking, which is published by MPH. For a while now. It's a really good book if you want to be a filmmaker, whether it's for YouTube, social media, TV, film, cinema, whatever. This is the book to get. I'm going to make it more accessible and more affordable to all of you because I believe that everybody needs to become a filmmaker. The more filmmakers we have in the world, I think this world will be a better place to live in. Now it's available as an electronic book download on my website. I'm going to link it here. It's really cheap, it's really affordable. It's only 5 ringgit if you want to get the ebook version. Okay, 5 ringgit. It doesn't really cost much, right? It's just a little bit of something for me. I mean, it did take a lot of work to write. Each chapter of this book talks about one part of the filmmaking process. And for each chapter as well, I interview a local filmmaker. It's only 5 ringgit. It's only 5 ringgit. You're watching and listening to the Fat Bidin Film Club, and I'm assuming I'm Zan Azli.
And I'm Cheryl Ibstawan.
Alright, as usual, every week we watch a local film and we review it. And cinemas are open.
Yes,
not yet, after the 20th. Right? Because of Wonder Woman 1984. Or something like that. But still, we're not going to the cinemas yet. And this week, we're going to review a couple of local films that was at the recent Freedom Film Festival.
Which was virtual as well.
Virtual. Usually it's always in PJ Arts, whatever.
But this time it was virtual.
It's virtual.
PJ Live Arts closed already.
Yeah, so we're just watching it online. It's okay though.
Which was interesting, actually. Okay.
Alright,
so we watched 4 films. I will briefly break down what the 4 films are.
But these 4 films are they grantees of the Freedom Film Festival? No, it's a mixture, right?
It's a mixture.
Some are grantees because the Freedom Film Festival, which happens every year, organized by Komas, right? They give out grants for like filmmakers to make documentaries like this. And when the films are done, it's shown in the film festival. But they also accept entries, submissions and all that lah. So this is a mixture, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. So go for it.
Okay, so the first film we watched was Ayaku Dr. G, which was directed by Hidayah Hashim and Lo Joey, which talks about a detainee who was detained for cannabis use and possession, and it's told from the perspective of his daughter now, because he's quite old. And then the second film we watched was a short animation called Sulo.
This is by Nur Hayati Kaprawi.
Yes, and it's very briefly looked into the life of a woman who is a victim, I guess you would say, of polygamy. And
abuse also, right?
You could also kind of say abuse.
Domestic abuse.
And then the third film we saw was Meniti Senja by Lily Fu. I think it's her first film. And it tells the story of this basically old folks home lah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember that film.
And then the final film that we saw, which was also I think the closing film for the festival, was Nasi Jani Melawan Lembaga Puaka by Aryan Muhammad Zahari. And the film was about Nasi Jani melawan Lembaga Puaka.
It's about censorship.
It's about censorship.
It's not finance.
The theme of the film is censorship. It's not so much finance.
Yeah, you got to get clear because the censorship is under the Home Ministry and not under the Finance Act. Yeah.
But they do talk at length about finance as well. Okay, so let's go film by film, or do we want to sort of review the overall feel of the festival as well?
Maybe lah. Let's review the overall festival feel.
Okay.
Because the festival is a festival that encourages and promotes films for social change. it's a woke film festival, right?
But
It's
it
a woke
always
film
has
festival.
been, so I don't really
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And I've actually had many of my films screened at the festival from like the beginning last time already. So I guess I'm woke too. Anyway, I don't want to be woke. Woke is such a dirty word in my vocabulary.
Okay,
But-
yes. So the theme of this year's Freedom Film Festival was Bangsa equals Manusia.
Yeah.
Which is race equals human. So they're trying to get people, all the stories are basically about, I guess, how we are part of the human race and we shouldn't look at things from a different race point of view lah. Yeah, so that was basically the underlying message of all the film, kind of, in a way.
Yeah. Which is like every year or so they have a theme that is
Yeah, which is
very
really
similar lah.
Yeah.
Very very similar.
Yeah.
It's just about human rights and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah, it is definitely important.
Okay, so-
but can I also add that the festival, although it's been going on for so long and it can be very popular and talked about in the circle, I still think it needs to get more coverage and it needs to get more attention, more publicity, and more people should realize
But that's why
and
they
know
bring
about
the
festival.
films. They bring the films everywhere last time. Right?
Yeah, they have this touring thing where they
Yeah.
bring to every state or many states lah, not all, but still, I think it just needs to get into the mainstream lah. This kind of films, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's important. I really think, as much as I make fun of wokeness, the films that they make are quite important. Issues that they raise are quite significant. Yeah.
I don't disagree. It does feel, because it was a virtual festival, that it creates a platform for a lot of homogenous viewing.
So, even more.
Every single, already the film festival, like you say, is not exactly niche, but it is always gone to, attended by people who are already, like you said, part of the circle. And I guess, you get like one or two like stakeholders from NGOs, maybe like, people who are still involved in the causes that the films are talking about. So in some way, it's already still preaching to the converted. I always felt like it's a good thing that they brought it on roadshows, because then they could reach a wider audience, more colloquial audience in a way.
Yeah.
And we've also learned from our experience of taking our own film on a
Road
tour
tours,
that
yeah.
it opens up a different market and opens up a different sort of audience lah.
And because it's a live audience, it creates a lot of discussion, which is great. Yeah.
So this time it was kind of they were sort of opening it to like a worldwide thing because it's virtual, right? I'm not sure what the numbers are exactly, but you, from the feel of the live chats and everything, you sort of get the impression that everybody who's watching it sort of has not necessarily a stake, but already sort of has an interest or some kind of background knowledge of what the films or the issues are about. And they've already also got a kind of stand on what the issues are about. So the discussion is very homogeneous lah. It is basically telling people what they already know, or basically enforcing people's beliefs and opinions that they already believe in, and just kind of empowering the people who are already sort of empowered and converted to your cause.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, there isn't.
But we also want to, and I'm sure that's what the organizers want too.
Yeah.
They want to reach like a big crowd, a newer
Yeah.
audience, yeah.
But it just doesn't effectively fulfill the I guess aim or goal of reaching out to more people lah, marginalized people and people who disagree with you, or people who don't know that this is an issue or don't feel like this is an issue. But this is through no fault of the organizers themselves. It really is just the time of the pandemic and how things are.
Yeah.
And I'm really just bringing it up as an observation of how, virtual events nowadays are always banking on the fact and marketed on the fact that they are now worldwide. So it's like anybody can tune in now because we are virtual. All you need is a link. But truly, who is really going to tune in, and who are you really reaching, and is your reach really as wide as we think it is lah, because it's worldwide? Because even with just a link, it's still just reaching people who have internet access, have run in circles where these links are accessible or shown to them, and it kind of, I feel, doesn't actually make it wider, but it kind of narrows it down even more.
Yeah, it's an issue that I talk a lot about also in my classes and all that. It's like, yeah, you've got the internet, which is supposed to be global, but the more global you become, everybody becomes closer and,
Yeah.
starts forming their own bubbles. And you look on the internet also, there are bubbles. You just go on YouTube, for example, you have so many bubbles of different types of content that other, residents of different bubbles don't even know exist.
Yeah, and they never coincide because everything is curated to your interests and what you are looking for.
Yeah, the algorithm,
Yeah.
the dreaded social media
Yeah.
timeline algorithm.
So yeah lah, that was just something interesting to note lah.
But it is also kind of interesting to see that in Malaysia, internet penetration is really high. Yes, we've got pockets of lack of infrastructure, right? Like we saw with Viona and things like that in Sabah and Sarawak. There are pockets, but compared to many countries in the world, Malaysia actually has a very high internet penetration rate, right? So, in theory, it should reach everyone lah. In theory.
But
So-
is everyone tuning in?
yeah,
is
so,
the thing.
so maybe also we need to figure out a way to overcome this algorithm problem to promote content.
Yep,
You know?
and make it really truly for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy the festival.
Yeah.
Going, I almost every year I go and to the festival physically, and I enjoy it. So now with this online thing, I kind of still enjoy it, but like you said lah, it's a little
Well,
bit
I know
different
you
in the
didn't
chat.
enjoy the discussions.
I didn't enjoy the
because
discussions.
you really felt like the discussions were like that lah.
Too homogeneous.
Yeah, too homogeneous and
Everything that's being said
Yeah.
is already known, already understood, already agreed on. So the film's great though.
yeah.
Okay, let's start talking
so
about the
let's
film.
start- Okay, so the first film, Ayaku Dr. G by Hidayah Hashim and Lojuri. They're both very young filmmakers.
Yeah, and one of them is part of our Fat Bidin training program.
yeah,
Where we're training.
Joey.
Yeah, Joey is part of our
Yes.
Fat Bidin media CVE or countering violent extremism
Campaign.
lah.
Yeah,
We're,
so
we're training
watch
them.
out for her work soon
Yeah.
with us. Okay, so the film is a short film
Yep.
and it is about Dr. G.
He's Dr. Marijuana
Yeah.
in Malaysia,
Okay,
Dr. Ganja.
Yeah. So give some
right?
context
Dr. Ganja.
to him and his.
So correct me if I'm wrong, people out there. There's this guy who was arrested for actually growing and distributing marijuana for people who need it medically,
Yeah.
for medical reasons,
Yes.
and he was arrested lah.
Yeah, sort of administering it medically lah.
Of course, it's illegal in Malaysia to do that,
and then
right?
he's been detained, I think, and his case keeps getting pushed back and pushed back.
It's been
but
years now.
his health has been deteriorating in this time,
Yeah.
and this entire film is from the perspective of his daughter, but interspersed with clips of conversations that he's having with his daughter.
Yeah.
So, it kind of made me really, really sad, the film. It was a very short film, and the shots are also very, I wouldn't say vague lah, but they're very stylistic and very, I guess, suggestive or vague lah, stylistic lah, okay? So you're not like following a specific person or anything. There's no real human subject matter for you to follow ke apa.
Not the daughter? I thought we were
Yeah,
following
but
the daughter.
it's not like following her entire life or whatever, and it's all based on like a voiceover of her voice, and then these interspersed with the conversations with her father
a voiceover
of her voice, a
Okay?
voiceover of her voice.
Right.
Such an intellectual.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten breakfast, so sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, the conversations with her father really, really got me lah.
Yeah.
Which I felt was memang the intention, and it was very well executed lah, because
Oh, they were recordings of her conversations with the father on the phone, right? While the father is in prison.
yeah, and when people read about things like this, or you see this person in court, or watch this person on a news feature, it's still a very disconnected person, because you only see like just a figure, right? But this really humanized who he is, and really brought out the relationship between her and her father, and really sort of brought out the struggle that they have and the strain that this detention is putting on their relationship and on his health. And you can hear the helplessness in her voice when she's talking to her father, and her father is kind of like upset, and he's like, they think that I'm weak, they think, but no, I still have it, I can still do things. And he's crying, and she's like, I know. You just have to be patient and everything, and it's so sad.
Yeah, but that's why I felt like the film actually does follow a character, does
Oh,
follow an
yeah.
individual, and does humanize everything. Yeah. But it was a bit too short.
Yeah.
And it didn't cover. I don't know. I just felt like the film was not complete. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the intention of making the audience feel wanting more or whatever, but it just didn't feel complete. It just felt like just hanging.
Actually, I felt
Yeah.
that about
All the
All
films.
the films?
I felt that about all the films too. but
because
we'll go
I guess
yeah.
it's because the subject matter was just so interesting that you want to see it fully fleshed out lah. So this was
Okay.
more of like a
Bye.
teaser.
Mommy took the plants already.
He just like interrupted me
Okay.
mid-review to say bye to his mommy. Like that, you know. Anyway,
Always
yes.
respect your elders.
But disrespect your wife.
Who's more important, parents or wife or spouse?
Your mother would say your
Uh,
spouse.
Quick debate, discourse.
Anyway, all these short films feel like they could be previews or trailers to what could be a longer,
they all-
more full-fleshed film. But again, it's really because the subject matters are so interesting. But yeah, of course, you could make a short film that is a little bit more comprehensive lah. And we felt like maybe all the films could have been a little bit more comprehensive. Perhaps the filmmakers really were constraining themselves to that small pocket of time.
Did they have
And
a
I'm not sure, but because it was supposed to be a short film, I'm not sure.
well? Short film is defined as anything
Yeah.
60 minutes and below. It
Yeah,
could go on to 59.
So
maybe.
yeah lah. So maybe that's why it came out the way it did. But a lot of the context for Ayaku Dr. G was given by text, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, which was something I didn't like.
Yeah, and you don't like that. You hate
Yeah,
that.
I don't like. I mean, it's fine to do it a little bit, but if it's going to be like the main narrative, it's a preference thing, lah. I think it's not wrong because I think a lot of people do like it, but as a preference, I don't like it because if it's supposed to be visual, it's supposed to be visual, lah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I kind of understand trying to pack in all your information to like 2 paragraphs as opposed to like 25 shots.
That's a cop out, lah, to me.
Yeah.
Oh, easy, just put text in it.
No, because no time
Yeah lah.
So yeah lah.
But if you were more creative, more innovative, you would challenge yourself and think of a way to do it,
Okay.
in a different way than just put a couple of text there, let people read lagi senang.
So Joey, challenge yourself. No more text. Okay? Alright. So next we saw Sulo,
Yes.
which was it stop motion?
Yes. It looked stop motion. It's an animation. Yeah. Okay. I remember a couple of years ago, No Hetika probably actually spoke to me. We went to a mama and had a drink. And he was asking me about animated documentaries, and we were talking about it. But this is so long ago, and I didn't know if she ever made the film or not.
So is this
But
it? Is
I
this the film?
guess this is it. I can't remember. It was so long ago, right? So if it's finally made, congratulations, right? It's made. It's done, and she did the animation herself. Oh, so
Power gila.
yeah.
It takes so much patience to do stop motion.
Yeah.
So much. So hats off to you, yo.
It started out for me.
So-
It started out for me as like, alamak, why like so cringy and cliche at first. The story went on, but as the story of this wife or ex-wife or woman started to develop, I kind of got sucked into the story that she was trying to tell, right? So I kind of got invested in her story lah, and I thought it was very interesting. But I also felt a little bit disjointed with the narrative structure because it also talks about how she can build a house on her own. She had the skill to build a house, and then she actually built
Mini houses. Miniature house models.
Yeah, no, actually she would build actual houses, but small houses lah. Those kampung houses, and she built a mini house of a house that she built for the film. Remember that?
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Because I really felt like it was just about her building the mini house.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's that skill that she was trying to highlight there lah.
Clearly not highlighted clearly.
It was it supposed to be subtext to talk about how she's helpless yet also, can take care of herself? I don't know.
Oh no,
So
I
that
thought it
a
was
little
very
bit
clear
disjointed.
that the building house thing was like her next move. So she like makes money out of it and stuff, and that was her new income
Oh.
generating thing. Was that not it?
I don't know. So I guess it just flew past me lah.
Okay, yeah. So the thing about the film is that it's told in a conversational style, but yeah, like you said, very disjointed. So it felt like there were 3 stories in it that were supposed to go together, but somehow did not get tailored together. So it's like 3 pieces of separate fabric.
Yeah.
So the first part is where she talks about like her lah, like about her in the kampong or whatever. She gets married and everything. The second part is she finds out her husband wants somebody else, and everybody is like stigmatizing her or telling her that it's her fault.
Yeah.
And then it
Kena
jumps
cantik,
straight,
kena
it just
muda.
straight
Yeah.
to the house.
Yeah.
So like in between that, you're like,
Yeah.
okay. So the first 2 parts are obviously easier to follow because you know that they're building up the story. But the end of it was kind of like, and then? And it's like, okay, she can build a house, and then? So like you said lah, like I guess I really felt like it was like, okay, this is her next thing. But Zan didn't really get it. So
Yeah. I thought it was supposed to be a subtextual thing, and then I didn't get the subtext.
So it was
you know
a bit,
what I mean?
yeah, it was a bit vague, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And
But the issue is important.
but the issue is
Yeah, and I feel for her. I feel for
Yeah.
this lady, who has been neglected by the husband, and been pushed over by the husband, and how she feels that to keep a husband, you need to continue being younger and being prettier.
And what is the definition of pretty also is a bit,
Makeup.
yeah.
What the hell, man? If you feel you need to wear makeup to be pretty, actually I feel sad, to think like that. You know what I mean? Because a husband should always, when you marry someone, the beauty is supposed to multiply, even though the age gets older and the boobs start drooping and the skin starts sagging. It's supposed to, and the beauty is supposed to be multiplied because you get to know the person better. So I just maybe that's why I felt that way lah.
But
with the story.
if you also remember when we went for kursus kahwin, that is one of the things that they teach you in
Yeah,
kursus kahwin.
which
That when
is-
your husband comes back, you need to be presentable. You cannot just be like fresh out the dapur and like in your kaftan and sweaty and smelly.
Yeah,
you
that's
need to
stupid.
mandi, you need to pakai makeup, pakai air wangi and sambut your husband with the fucking teo and all that bullshit. This is something we learned in kursus kahwin,
which
and
I
they're
think is
teaching
so-
many young impressionable couples, across the board lah.
Yeah.
If you're Muslim and you have to go for kursus kahwin,
Which I think is wrong.
so
Because
can you really blame the society for being like itulah tak cantik sebab tu suami dia tak nak?
No, well-
Because they're taught that it's a syarat in your marriage that you have to be cantik
Yeah, which is society's fault lah. You go believe for what, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Don't believe that kind of thing lah. You know. I don't know. I get home, I see her from the back cooking over the stove. I just want to come and grab her from behind. It's like, yeah. So
People did not need to know that.
yeah, I love to hug you. When you're cooking, like it's
You
nice.
love to hug me anytime.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, throw
That's
your
what
bitch
it's
feet
supposed.
also, you're like
It's supposed.
there.
That's how it's supposed to be. It's not about makeup and being younger and being. Anyway, so congratulations to the film. I know it takes a long time to make a film like this, and
And it was a very difficult film to make.
It is, yeah.
I personally would have preferred if the polygamy issue sort of went straight in. Because there's so much to talk about when you're talking about injustice in the time of polygamy. Because there is also a part of polygamy that works
yeah.
for certain people.
Yep.
And we're not here to judge. We personally are not for it. We don't want to include another person in our marriage. And there in Malaysia especially, a lot of Malay Muslim men feel like it is their right and they are entitled to polygamy, but they forget these other smaller parts where it says that you have to discuss it with your first wife, you have to be fair to all your wives, be able to provide for all of your families, and so on and so forth. So it's executed badly, and thus it becomes an issue of injustice, and people's feelings get hurt, and women get neglected, children get neglected, all because the husband wants some younger made up dick, or stick his dick in something younger and made up. That's really all it is. Okay, don't come and tell me it's like love or whatever. Fuck off. So yeah. So that needs to be brought out a little bit more, because it was literally just like 5 sentences. She talks about suddenly she finds out her husband doesn't want her, and then everybody is kachabbing her, and then she's building a house. I was like, okay.
So yeah, and I also felt like the film was too short and
Yeah
was
lah.
also hanging. It
Yeah.
wasn't complete
Yeah.
lah. Yeah.
Yeah, but like how you talk about getting sucked into it, right? I was kind of beginning to like, okay,
And then finish.
but then it was over. So I didn't even manage to, the suction macam tak menjadi for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, short films are,
Yeah.
it's a craft. Okay, it's an art and a craft as well. You need to perfect the way you tell a
But
story.
it can be honed.
Yeah, can.
So all these filmmakers should hone
Yeah.
it. Alright.
Okay, then the next
so
film
the
is...
next film was Meniti Senja by Lily Fu. Lily Fu is also slightly older in age. And I think this is also her first film. And it is shot by a friend of mine, Wong Chin Ho, who also shot Eye on the Ball. And Chin Ho is a wonderful, wonderful cinematographer to work with. And I felt like I could really see Chin Ho's shots. All the shots were just so like Chin Ho in the film. So the film is about this rumah jagaan orang tua, which is self-funded by a Malay lady, a former nurse, who decided to open this rumah jagaan for elderly people whose families don't want to take care of them, and also elderly people who are now homeless or basically just abandoned and left.
Some
So-
of them without even ICs and birth certificates.
and then they just like their children literally just leave them. So it's kind of like an orphanage for old people lah. So she takes care of all these old people, their medical whatever and so on. And now she charges like a small fee for people who bring in their parents, if they don't just drop their parents there lah.
And
But
that helps to
basically-
subsidize
yeah.
the other parts of it that's, that
Yes.
is more socially conscious. Like
Yeah.
it's more charitable lah,
Yeah,
I guess.
because like
Yeah.
some people they just leave their parents there. That's it.
Yeah.
Basically, like they say like buang ibu bapa.
Yeah.
So I can't do old folks' homes. I memang feel an overwhelming sense of like sadness, and every time I go to one or I see films like these and I see all these old people stuck in one place, nothing to do, nowhere to go, and just contingent on whatever someone else dictates for your day, I get really, really upset because I think about like my parents, I think about my grandfather, and I think about how all these people were individuals before, and they were all young, had jobs, had lives, and now it's just been in their old age when they're supposed to be reaping, you know, the benefits of everything that they've worked for. They are now stuck in a situation like that, so forgotten and so worthless. So I cannot. So this film was a little bit emotional for me because there was like a woman whose daughter or son or daughter-in-law like beat her, and she was like sick or something, and then she went to stay with her son, and then she was getting beaten, and then someone took her to this old folks home. And she talks about her injuries, and then she talks about how before this, like, you know, she was not injured like this, and this is how it happened. And I was just really angry lah. Like, what the hell is wrong with people? Like, oh my god. So this is the kind of film that Freedom Film Fest makes, that invokes the right I guess reaction to the issue that they are trying to portray lah.
Yep.
And for a first time filmmaker, yeah, the story could have been a little bit tighter.
Oh, she was a first time filmmaker?
Yeah, I think she is a first time filmmaker. I read something that like this is her first film or something.
Yeah.
She decided to pick something that I felt is really important to talk about, and she did it in a way, maybe also because she's a little bit older, so she brings a different perspective to the film than if a young person were to have made this film. It was made in a very, I felt, mature and also kind of graceful manner, but very, very it speaks to you lah. It speaks to all of us to sort of reflect on how we really treating our parents, and why are we such shit people that we're just throwing our parents in old folks' homes. Because I guess in a way also, when people talk about old people, it's always in a tone of inconvenience. Yeah, you know, he can't walk so much anymore, it's very difficult to take them out. Yeah, but they still insist that they want to go out, they're being stubborn, they don't want to wear diapers or whatever. It's always in a tone of like inconvenience, forgetting, I guess, all these things that these people, your parents, have done for you before, you know.
Yeah.
So I hated what was happening in the film. I liked the film, but it was just unacceptable for me that this was going on. It still is. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's a long
Yeah lah, yeah.
issue that has been going on
I know.
already, and
Yeah,
people have
yeah,
been talking about it's not right.
And it's-
Like I always, my brothers and I, we always joke, right? My parents, they're getting older. If anything happens to my mom, we'll take care of her. Anything happens to my father, we say we'll send you to an old folks home. But that's a joke, obviously. Right? But yeah, true. I also cannot see old people like that. And the film was good. It had so much potential for great stories. There were great stories, and the people that she interviewed was dynamic. The old lady on the bed,
She's the one that got beaten.
She's smiling when she's telling the story. It's so interesting to see her facial expression. It's great. I think the filmmaker is also a good interviewer.
Yeah.
You know, and the person who runs the old folks home, the lady, she's also a very dynamic and charismatic person to be on film. I thought the film was really good. But again, go back to that same problem. I felt the film is so it's like not complete.
too
Like
short.
what? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think we should rephrase the fact that it's too short, because short on long,
Yeah,
it's fine.
it's incomplete.
It's incomplete. You know, you gotta tell the story in a better way. Maybe go back, tell that story again. I would suggest all
Director's
these
cut.
directors to go back and see how they can tell the story better. I mean, just because it's done and ready for the film festival doesn't mean that you can't refine the film again to see, you know, because these are great stories, you know, and these directors have great eyes of trying to identify good stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, then the last
Alright,
film,
and then
right?
the closing film, Nasir Jani Melawan Lembaga Puaka. Okay, this film I really felt was very well done. It was the most wholesome,
Film.
comprehensive film
yes, I would say
out
that
of the
too.
4 films that we saw.
I agree.
Probably also because this person is a more seasoned
Is he?
director. I'm
Okay.
not too sure.
I don't know him. I know the producer Zikri. I know
But it was
Zikri,
told-
but I
yeah.
don't know the director. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was told, one of the producers, Amanda, who's also in the film, is also quite well known for making quite good films. So potentially more experienced hands working on this made it what it is. So it's a very sophisticated film.
Yeah.
It's very dynamic. It keeps you engaged the entire time. And they incorporated, so there are interviews, and then they incorporate sort of like small sketches, I would say, featuring some younger people playing people in the 70s.
80s.
Sorry, people in the 80s.
80s. I was around this time. So can I give some
Okay,
context?
okay,
Can
so
I give
go ahead.
can I give some context to these old people?
Maybe not in the
Because-
middle of my sentence.
Okay,
but
okay,
sure,
go.
Whatever.
Go on.
No, give your context. Go.
No, I was waiting because I wanted to get to the point where they were all dressed up in the 80s, Amy Search kind of characters. Right? No. Okay, go on.
Give your context
Okay.
faster.
The context is, if you guys remember Nasir Jani, he was famous for going to court or going to a government office wearing a T-shirt that said "Fuck Mahathir" or something like
Court.
that. You know, and he got kena gum. And during this time, I remember, so I was going to school and I was listening to music and rock music and all that, and everybody was going around saying that word lah, kena gum. And people with long hair, like those rockers like Amy Search and Awi and all that, who had long hair, would not be able to get on TV because they had long hair. And if you had long hair, you kena gum.
But then they cut their hair on TV. Right?
Then Tok Mat, which was the Minister of Information at that time, did this big ceremony on RTM. They came and cut their hair, and it was a sad thing to see, because this was like a form of expression, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and all that. And then it was like a humiliating thing lah to me, I thought, you know. So I guess that represents censorship lah. And the sketches that you were talking about, they were all dressed up as these rockers, right? And they were giving out lines that were already said by people, was it?
Yeah.
Who had said those lines?
I really don't know. I think it was written together lah with and they took it from like their interviews and stuff like that, and they recreated the sketches.
Oh, I thought it was like, it could have also been like newspaper articles at that time.
Maybe also.
Yeah.
The entire film talks about censorship, and focusing on Nasir Jani was probably a good idea, because even now he seems very opinionated about the censorship, but also a little bit jaded.
Yeah, of course. He doesn't make films
of
anymore.
course
He's retired, you know.
Yeah, who wouldn't be, right? And again, it's nothing new, and it's a long battle for filmmakers. It was a nice way to close the festival, I felt, because it's a real reminder to all the filmmakers out there who are making films as to why we do it. You know, freedom of expression, telling untold stories, telling stories that are important, even if, you know, the powers that be feel like these stories should not be told. Isn't that the core of like what we want to do as filmmakers? Tell important stories. So like, yeah, Nasi Jani was one of the people that were doing this, and then Kena Kecam, Kena Gum, and then you've got like present filmmakers who are trying to work their way around it, which I think Amanda sort of illustrated in her interviews and everything, and she talks about the difficulties in making films and how her films are mostly not shown, you know, locally. They're shown in festivals, but you can never get a film shown in the cinema that is, you know, different. So in the discussion that they had, they talked about that. They talked about they spoke to Riri, right?
Riza from Indonesia.
Riri, an Indonesian filmmaker.
Who I'm kind of a fanboy of.
About the censorship that was happening there. And then they talk about...
Because he was part of that movement
yeah.
when it started in Indonesia, and then
he calls himself the child of the movement because he started making films when that movement started. And they compared it to Malaysia, and we talk about how Malaysian films are winning like awards, like the Golden Horse Award and stuff like that, but you don't see these films in the cinema. Why? And it was, for me, a very timely reminder of why we do what we do, and how we do what we do, and why it's important, and reminding me that it's worth it.
Yep.
And this is why we need to continue doing it. In a way, it also kind of made me a bit sad, because it's like, you see what happened to Nasi Jani, you know? And it's like, what if that happens? It continues to happen to filmmakers like us. But then I immediately think, well, that's on us to make sure it doesn't lah. Which is a long uphill
I'm sure
road.
I'm sure Nasi Jani felt that too. And then
Yeah.
Screw that lah.
Then screw that. So maybe in 20 years I'll be like,
jagung
fuck that.
you know?
Screw that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah.
Also, I still, although it's the most holistic, complete story, I felt there were certain parts where it was a little bit trying too hard, especially the parts where Nasi Jani and some Pian Habib and all that, and they would, instead of doing interviews, they had them sit down, have coffee, and try to talk. And it felt like it was too rehearsed, too scripted, too directed, the way they were talking, and it wasn't natural. There were some parts like that lah. Those forced conversations lah. That one I felt a little bit trying too hard lah. But yeah,
Kind of minorly forgivable, no?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was too jarring for me. I thought, it's a good film, good story, good style, very original. I liked it, but those parts were just too jarring for me lah. You know.
All right. So,
Let us know what you think. Look, I'm going to go back to what we said earlier about how this festival is so in its bubble, right? And I'm thinking it's so in the bubble. I'm going to bet you that nobody's going to even share our video. It's not going to get... I'm sure you guys out there who are our viewers will appreciate what we're saying.
Zane Solo will have a comment.
I'm sure you will. But it's not going to get the traction like, say, when we review Munafik.
Yeah.
You know, when we review Police Evo, or when we talk about issues of Shamsul Yusof and, you know, YouTubers and all that. It's not going to... Which is kind of... I hope that this kind of issues actually get to the forefront.
Yeah.
You know?
So, with that, we would like to ask you to please look for these films, find them, and watch them, because they are important films.
Yeah.
They're not just to entertain you; they are here to educate you, empower you, and give you new insights or better insight on what is really going on in the country through these small pockets of stories.
Yep.
And they are all very, very important.
Yeah, and if you guys follow our channel and you follow our reviews, the comments that you make actually kind of shows that you guys are into this. You will like it.
Yeah.
You will enjoy. You will search for these kind
Yeah.
of things, you know. And this is something that will fulfill you, lah.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Our very own homogenous audience.
our very own homogeneous audience. But it's through you sharing issues like this, sharing films like this, that's gonna, you know, spread it out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The films are bilingual.
Yeah.
They're not all in English or all in Malay.
And everything has subtitles. Malay and English
So don't worry.
subtitles, you know, so it's for everyone.
Yeah. So that's it. There you go.
Like, don't like, subscribe, follow us, you know, at Fat Bidin on all the social media platforms. Watching, listening to the Fat Bidin Film Club. I'm assuming I'm Zan Azli.
And I'm Shali.
Oh yeah, fatbidin.com to get everything.
Yes, also that. Okay, bye.